you guys are also getting slammed with some of the stuff as a result of the immigration policy. I mean, is that really impacting Alberta though? Like,
It's impacted it quite a bit. Like, Christian, do you have the?
Yeah. So you're gonna be blown away at some of these statistics here. Here's one thing that I pulled recently. This is the population chart of Alberta going back to several decades.
So it looks like 2010, they were sitting around 3.5 million people in the province of Alberta. And now in January 2024, you're at 5 million.
It's 5 million.
Yeah.
With a huge jump in 2022. I'm assuming that's a lot of immigration.
Almost exclusively immigration. Like I think Alberta actually does have replacement population. Alberta's got one of the healthiest demographics actually across all of Canada. But this is almost exclusively.
It's actually even crazier than
replacement birth rate is 2.1 lives birth per woman.
Yeah.
And if you were at 3.5 million in January of 2010, and you have let's say a slightly above replacement birth rate, you would not be at 5 million people. That math don't math. So this is largely immigration from other provinces within Canada, or is this international?
This is almost exclusively international immigration that's facilitated through the federal government. And then even just between 2020 and 2025, 1 million of those people came in, which has put a tremendous strain on our healthcare system. It's
so 20% of your province's population.
Yes. So a lot of these numbers are from 2016 to 2021. When I picked up Connor at the airport, we were having a conversation about this, and I ended up doing some research, and this is what I uncovered. In 2021, so this was 4 years ago, there was 1 million immigrants in Alberta. That's 25% of the entire province's population.
This is when it was 4 million people in Alberta.
This is before, remember, and they weren't really importing a bunch of people in 2021 because the Canadians had shut their entire country down because of COVID. And so when you look at the population change since then, it was 25% going into, the lockdowns, the trucker convoy protests and everything. The mass migration really ramped up after 2021. And here's the evidence to show this. You're going to be shocked when you see this chart. This is the Canadian immigration chart.
Oh, that's insane.
So here's where they are right now. And this is the historical average, which was, 200,000, 150 to 250,000 was the kind of
And it just jumped
average.
up to over 2.5 million.
Now it's 2.5 million.
Wow.
And in all of it, you see this dip here? That's the COVID lockdowns. And so everything was post 2020. Effectively. Now, granted, again, Trudeau was elected in 2015, so he had 5 years to import quite a few people. And you see this chart was rising since 2015. It was rising, right? It broke out of the historical trajectory. But I mean, everything since 2022
it's to the moon.
Wow.
They're going through literal replacement right now.
So okay.
Yeah.
So obviously you had a backlash as a result of, because at the same time he was doing this, a Canadian Constitution. So I'm old enough to remember Justin Trudeau getting out there going, no, we have a gun culture in Canada. We're not going to take your guns. And then lo and behold, through essentially executive order, that's exactly what he did. Like he didn't go out and take everybody's guns. He made it illegal to buy a handgun.
They were this close to taking everybody's guns, and then thankfully there was about 2 million letters written from the gun owners in Canada pushing back on it.
Yeah.
They didn't push back so much that they actually overturned stuff that had been done, which is unfortunate, but they did stop. It was going to be a complete gun ban. It ended up being something that just took away, okay, there's going to be no more pistols. There's no more new pistols. There's going to be no more certain numbers of rifles, stuff like that. So it wasn't as bad as it could be, but there's nobody pushing back to go, okay, we need to reestablish the baseline. It's just, oh, good. Not everything got taken away.
So they were satisfied with just stopping it in its tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dangerous because that's always how this works. That's always how the Hegelian dialectic works, as it becomes the new normal and they push it.
So, the last point on the immigration thing that I want to say is that from 2016 to 2021, before this took place, Alberta ended up importing although you could argue that it wasn't the wishes of Alberta,
Yeah.
but Alberta ended up importing the population equivalent of its third and fourth largest cities in 5 years, from 2016 to 2021.
nuts.
So that's Red Deer and Lethbridge combined, which again are the third and fourth largest. Most Americans, when they think of Alberta, they think of Calgary and Edmonton, which are the two largest cities. But yeah, they imported the population equivalent of their third and fourth combined. That's 200,000 people in 5 years. And remember, that's before the floodgates were opened up really after COVID.
Yeah. So, and here's the other thing I think is important to remember about, I mean, you look at the United States. The United States, you could argue that there's a broader American culture, but then there's also very significant and stark differences in regional cultures within the United States. You have the South broadly. Florida has its own culture, right? You have New England. You have the Midwest. You have the West Coast. You have Texas, which has its own thing, right? And these regional cultures are, again, very distinct, very easy to recognize and spot, both from the perspective of what defines them and how they differ from the other cultures. Similar in Canada, right? Like, the East is very different from the West, but then you also got Quebec, which is this, the entire French. That was the first source of a province actively working to leave Canada. And in fact, they got so close to actually achieving it that's why the Canadian Supreme Court went through this process of determining what would be a constitutional, peaceful mechanism for separating from Canada. Yeah. But when you look specifically, in my view, Saskatchewan, tell me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
Saskatchewan, Alberta, I think very much has its own culture.
I would agree. Yeah.
I think Saskatchewan seems to have similar attributes.
By and large, yes.
Yeah. And then rural British Columbia seems to have, it feels like it's its own thing.
It is a bit,
but there's common sentiment.
There's common sentiment. It is a little different because it's more, you got more mountain folks, and that plays into the culture aspect. But anything that's west of the Canadian Shield, so anything essentially Manitoba and west, is a distinct culture from the east side of the Shield, which is like Ontario, Quebec, Maritimes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you have cultural considerations. You have this immigration policy, which is obviously impacting you guys both economically and culturally, and then you also have the economic factors. Is that you guys are, again, Alberta is paying a ton of taxes that you don't get the direct benefit from. It literally goes to benefit provinces that vote against you. Yeah. And I don't mean just vote against you in the broader sense of you guys would want a more conservative government, they want a more liberal government. I mean, they vote against the very industries that you rely upon for the wealth that they then take from you.
Yeah. They put in taxes that specifically target, it's called a carbon tax. Yeah. But it specifically targets anything to do with essentially fossil fuels, anything that's directly related to the oil, or like, for example, if you're paying at a gas station, you're paying a tax because you're using oil. Yeah. Anything, and part of it too is because Canada's very much embraced the green agenda and a lot of the talking points by WEF, World Economic Forum. Yeah. And it's having a major impact on the economic viability of Canada going into the future.